Hey everybody, welcome back to Trinity Dairy. It is January 1st, 2025. I'm gonna have to get used to saying that. And I want to just wish you all Happy New Year's. So today, not a lot going on. You can see our snow is pretty much gone. We've had up until yesterday, it's been like in the mid 30s, close to 40, even over 40 for a couple days. We got like, I think close to 2 inches of rain, 1.5 inches of rain. Kind of made an icy mess out of a lot of stuff. But now it's supposed to cool back down again. More normal temperatures for this time of the year, which is all right. The warm weather is kind of nice, but it's harder on the cows when it goes up and down like that. But they seem to be doing okay, so we're going to let them out today. They stayed in the barn last night. But we're going to put some silage out for them today and let them out for a little while to kind of stretch out, and we'll keep them in again tonight because I think it's supposed to be around 0 tonight. So so that'll be good for them to get out for a while. Opened up a new bag of silage, so this will be the first silage of this year's crop that we've been feeding. So I'll show you guys what that looks like. I just opened it yesterday. Looks pretty nice. I was going to open one of the silos instead of the bag, but just with the holidays going on, and then we've kind of had a flu bug going through, so everybody's been sick, and it was just easier right now to open the other bag. But so we're going to look at that. We'll show getting some silage out, getting the cows out. But one of the main things I wanted to talk about was our manure system. We kind of had I think a pretty big development on that. So yesterday we had a friend of mine, Tommy, he came over and helped me again. We pulled the piston out in the barn again, and we got all the water out of the hole. We got it emptied all the way down so I could see in there better. And some of our viewers had actually messaged me a while back saying that they had a similar issue with their pump, and they had to have the sleeve rebuilt and the piston rebuilt, and then it worked fine. And I wasn't really thinking that was the case because the lagoon is pretty much empty and the manure should gravity flow out with having the line having been jetted and stuff, and it wasn't. But anyway, we got the manure all out of the hole, and I looked down inside there with a spotlight good, and the sleeve is very worn. I don't know, when we had that all dug open, you know, 3 years ago, we looked at that sleeve pretty good, and I didn't really notice that it was worn bad at all. But I suppose if it was getting thin, it was just hard to see. And, you know, 3 years worth of pumping, it finally wore through enough where it's not sealing, that back door is not sealing, and it's not able to, you know, pump like it should. But anyway, one thing we wanted to try, so we stuck a piece of, I had a chunk of that 1-inch like black plastic water line that's kind of flexible. We stuck that down in there as far as I could go. It was about probably 15 feet, and then we hit something, just like a blockage in the pipe. So my friend Johnny, he's got a jetter attachment for a pressure washer, so it's too small for that big of a pipe because it's like a 12-inch pipe. But we ran that black plastic pipe in until we got to that blockage, and we put the jetter inside of there, and we messed around with it for a while, and we got through that blockage that was in there. So I think if the door and that sleeve was good, it probably would have just pushed it through, because I don't think it's that bad of a blockage, but it was enough to keep it from gravity flowing. So anyway, we got through there. We put the garden hose down in the manure pump, and we ran it for well over an hour. And the water was running out into the lagoon perfectly. It wasn't building up in the pump at all. So we knew we had an open line all the way to the pit, at least somewhat. So we ran the barn cleaner. There was not a lot of manure in the barn cleaner. It was mostly water. But we ran it with the pump, and it pumped it right out. So then I left the cows in last night, so there was a fair bit of manure in the gutter. Now, keep in mind, I'm not running any bedding right now, because I'm thinking there's probably a small opening through that clog, and if I run too much bedding, it's just going to plug it up. And so I'm keeping it the same consistency as I've been running it with that trash pump. Ran it this morning, so the gutters were full, and it pumped it out really well. All right, we're back. I had a cow loose and Jen was calling me to let me know that she had gotten out. So anyway, the sleeve is actually made to come out into the barn way, so we shouldn't have to do any digging up, which is good, because there's nothing really you can do from underneath to get the sleeve out. I did some checking with the dealer and he said he could probably get me a sleeve made, but he said it'd probably be just as easy for me to pull this one out, take it to a welding shop here, and just get it done here. So that's what we're going to do, but that's going to have to wait until we get into warmer weather this spring or summer, because once that sleeve is pulled out, I can't run that ram pump. And whether the ram pump is working or if I'm using the trash pump, I need that ram pump to run to agitate the manure in there. So once we get into summertime or springtime, when it's warm enough for the cows to be out all the time, I can leave the barn for quite a few days without having to run the barn cleaner. So that gives us time to get it pulled and rebuilt and put back in, and then I think we should be good to go. The only other issue that I could see, which is really hard to tell, is if the section of tubing behind the sleeve where it makes a 45 and turns to plastic, if something there would happen to be worn through. But that's all concrete around there now, so even if it has a little hole worn in it, it's concreted, so that shouldn't matter. And the manure's going out now, so we know that the pipe is open, so that's good. So yeah, as of right now, I'm going to try to keep just the manure very liquidy, very little bedding in the barn, and hopefully we don't have to use the trash pump anymore. We can keep cleaning the barn like this until we get into warmer weather, and then we can pull that out and should be back in business. So yeah, I didn't think the sleeve was bad, but some of you had commented that that was probably the case, and I think that is. So thank you all for that, because otherwise I maybe wouldn't have even looked into it any further. But and we were able to bucket the water out. Last time we couldn't get the water out of it enough to see down in there. I could feel that the door down there was opening and closing, but I couldn't see it. Once we finally got the water all out of there, I could see that it was closing, but it's not sealing up like it should. It's way too worn. So anyway, that's the update on the manure system. As of right now, it is working. It is pumping manure out, and hopefully that keeps up till warmer temperatures. Skid steer's fired up now, warmed up. I got the battery charger on the B because for some reason the battery was dead this morning. I don't know why, but we're gonna get some silage out for the cows, so we'll show you what that new silage looks like. We're over here at the silage bag. So that's the new bag. That's this year's corn silage that we just harvested this fall, and this is what's left of last year's. So I've got a little bit in here to clean out. I'm not going to clean it out right now. Maybe some shovel work and stuff. It's still good silage, but I'll feed that out later and mix it in with some other. But you can see this stuff had a lot of long leaves. Some of that had to do with it being a more drought year, because you look at this year's silage and it's way finer chopped. I do not have a kernel processor, so you'll see the whole kernels in here. With the chopper being set better, a lot of these kernels are cut open, which is good. Optimally, it's best to have them broke up as much as possible. The cows get the most out of them, but those kernel processors are also very expensive. So we try to harvest it when the kernels are soft enough that they'll get at least busted open by the chopper, at least most of them. So you can see that this silage was a lot longer cut. part of the reason was because this corn was a lot drier. The leaves get a lot drier, and it's just harder they don't chop up as well. But the biggest reason is the adjustment on the chopper knives, having the knives set right and having them sharpened right. If you remember a few years back, we were running the chopper, we had a knife come loose and it took out a bunch of knives on the drum. And I had a Parts 782 chopper, which this is a 790, but we were able to put those knives from the 782 in this one. We were in the middle of chopping oats and peas, so we just swapped the knives over, set them as close as we could, kind of in a hurry, and got back to chopping. Well, I never really messed much with it. They didn't sharpen properly with the stone on the chopper, so I would sharpen them with the angle grinder. Well, then finally last year, before we started, me and Paul went through, loosened all the knives, reset them, did a lot of sharpening with the stone and adjusting to get them true. And they're pretty good now. There's a couple of them that are still a little bit out of whack, but they were kind of out of whack. I think whoever had that parts chopper before maybe sharpened them with an angle grinder or something. And but it's much better. So until I get a set of new knives for that chopper, but these ones, now that it's chopping pretty good like this, and there's quite a bit of life left in them, I'm just going to keep running them, because it seems now that we've got them set decent, it's doing a good job. But this stuff looks really nice. Right at the end of the bag, I didn't notice any mold in the bag, so that's good. I don't know what the moisture is on this, but I'd have to say it's in mid 50s, upper 50%, I would just guess. Once we get into this bag a little, I'll probably send in a sample and see what it looks like, a nutrition sample. But we'll get a little video of putting this in the wagon, we'll get some haylage on there, and we'll get it out for the cows. Well, there I got the haylage dumped on. I didn't get any video of loading it because I didn't really figure it was that big of a deal to watch, but I thought I'd show it to you guys. This stuff turned out pretty nice. It was probably too dry. I would have liked to have had more moisture in it, but it was too wet to dry bale, and it seems to be keeping all right. At the beginning I had some mold issues around the edge, but being dry and kind of long cut, I don't think it packed quite as well as it should have in the bag. But I think we're pretty much through that now, because this stuff looks pretty good. And this was grass. There was quite a bit of trefoil in it actually, but it's looking pretty nice now. Cows clean it up real good. I like having the longer cut. It's better for the cow's digestion, but it is a little bit trickier to feed out because it's more lumpy. Haylage is kind of that way anyway, but When it's longer, it is a little bit trickier to get out of the bag and keep the bag face nice. But anyway, just wanted to show you that, so we'll pull it out now and have the cows enjoy some dinner. Okay, so before we end this video, one more thing I wanted to tell you guys. So we've been grinding our own dairy feed now. I've ground a couple batches. I haven't gotten any video of it yet, just because we're kind of getting things fine-tuned and figured out how we want to do it. So what I'm doing is, in this poly tank that we moved down here, we get a protein mix delivered and put in there. So that's got some pellets, some soybean meal, mineral, that kind of stuff. And then we're grinding the shell corn out of here, the stuff that we combine. And then we're adding that protein mix and mixing our feed. And I'll show you what it looks like. It's actually turned out really nice. Got a little sample of it here. I was worried that with not adding any molasses, you know, that it was going to be, cows maybe weren't going to care for it as much. But they really eat it really well. And I think the corn is ground up good. There's a whole kernel maybe here or there. I've got a 1/2-inch screen in the grinder. And if I went any smaller, I'd have to go with a 1/4 inch. And then I think it's pretty much going to be like flour. And if I was feeding in a TMR, that'd probably be okay. But when I'm feeding it straight out, I don't want it too fine. I don't want them to get sick on it either. So yeah, it's been going pretty good. But it's a little bit of a pain just because this mixer does not have a scale. So I've got a weight chart so I can tell kind of roughly how much corn I'm putting in. And then the protein mix, we weighed that out. I know, so a 5-gallon pail of that, I think, was 35 pounds. And so I know how many pails I need. So we've just been counting out the pails and dumping them in there. And it works okay, but it's a little bit tedious. And I don't exactly know how accurate the weight chart is on these for how much weight you have of corn. But I think we're pretty close the way things have been kind of measuring out. So I am actually looking right now, kind of looking at upgrading the mixer. I want to get one. I'll probably keep this one for grinding heifer feed or for a backup or whatever, because everything, the mixer, grinder, all that works well. It does not have the unloading auger on it anymore. So I want to get one with an unloading auger and one that's long enough to reach the feed tank by the barn. Because right now I had to set up my elevator to run the feed in there. Because the unloading auger that was on here wasn't nearly long enough anyway. It was barely stuck out past the front of the mixer. And one with an electronic scale that would just make it so much easier to pull up to the, you know, to the supplement bin, kick it on, get your weight, move to the corn, grind that, get your weight. So I'm kind of looking for something like that right now. I don't want to spend a fortune. I mean, you can you can find some of these, you know, from, some of them are $20,000 for a used mixer, and I'm not going to spend anywhere near that. But from what I've been kind of looking, you can find decent ones. You know, I found one that popped up that showed it was like 40 miles from here. Long auger, it had the scale, everything, for $1,500, and I called on it. Well, the location got mixed up, so it was actually south of the Twin Cities, so that was quite a haul for us. So I wasn't able to make that one work out, but that one was like $1,500. So that would have been a good deal if I could have swung it. But for right now, we're making this one work and keep our eyes open for another one. I'm not putting any ear corn in the dairy mix right now. Just the shell corn and the protein mix. The heifer feed I'm grinding, that is ear corn, some oats, and then I've got a pellet that gets mixed in for the heifers. So I thought about putting some ear corn in with this too, but the shell corn and the protein are right here. If I wanted ear corn, then I got to go up in the pasture, and it's a lot more shuffling around, so I didn't really think it was worth it. Once the shell corn's gone, we'll probably be switching the milk cows to the ear corn anyway. But so that's what's going on with the feed. We'll be grinding some again next week, so I'll probably try to get some video of that, just kind of show you how we're doing it right now. But I want to thank everybody for watching. I hope you have a blessed new year. I want to thank you all for following along with us this last year, and hope you continue to stick with the channel and keep going with us into the next year. So again, thanks for watching. Stay safe, and may God bless you all.